Hello everyone, this is Greg from Mystery Honey. I thought I would just share with you this lovely March evening. Oh, rays of sunshine, lovely and warm. The bees are out, although actually, now I've said that, they'll all start to go in because it is starting to get a bit darker, so oh well. What I'm here to do today is to check the food stores of my bees. All I'm going to do is heft them to see if they still have any food stores in there. If not, then I'm going to feed them. Now, the difference is I'm not going to feed them with fondant like I have been doing throughout the whole of winter. I'm going to feed them with a very, very thin syrup. So this is probably about a 1-to-1, probably 0.8 to 1 solution of sugar syrup. What this does is mimic the nectar that you'll find in plants, because plants don't have 1-to-1 solution. It's not 100 grams of sugar to 100 mils of water. It's a lot more dilute than that. So in feeding them a very diluted sugar syrup that's very similar to nectar, hopefully it will encourage the queen to start laying more so they produce more brood and are ready for the next flow that's going to happen in maybe about 2-3 weeks. So yeah, here we go. So at this stage now, if you've been following my videos, you will know what hefting is. For those of you that are new to this, hefting is keeping your arm nice and straight and only using your fingers to try and lift the hive. Now, I'm using 3 fingers there, and the hive is lifting up quite easily. I'm going to start using 2. It's still able to be lifted. So that means that these guys are getting a bit low on stores, especially for a double brood box like this. I'm going to have a quick look underneath the hood and see what's going on under there. Yeah, so the bees are still happy, still walking about and stuff, but I think that these guys are going to be very close to starving soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed them some sugar syrup now. So to feed the bees, there are plenty of different types of feeders. These are called rapid feeders. You'll see that there is a cone inside that the bees will work their way up here. And there's another cone that goes over the top. That stops the bees from getting into the syrup. What that means is that when you fill it with syrup, the bees can go down, sup, and then go back down into the hive and give it back. Now, these are fantastic, especially when it comes to autumn feeding, because the bees will be able to come in. Lots of bees at the same time can come in, take the food and go down again. In spring and winter, this isn't always the best because first of all, there's a drowning issue. So bees can get stuck in there because there's such a flow of bees pushing down that the ones at the bottom can't get back out and they end up drowning in the syrup. This is just a bigger version of that. This was what I used for the hives during winter and autumn. I'm going to elect for using a bucket feeder. These are fantastic for winter feeding and early spring feeding. The bees don't really come into contact with the amount of syrup that's there, so the big load of syrup that's going to be in here, the bees won't touch that. All they'll have access to is the lid. And you can control how much syrup comes out of this bucket. You do that by piercing it with a pin. Ta-da! How it works is that when you fill it with syrup, say up to there, you flip it over and the syrup falls down to the bottom. What that does is create a seal. Now, if there was a hole up here, that syrup would just pour out. But because there's an airlock here, that syrup will be stuck there. What that means is that the bees will be able to come up to those little holes that you've made and sup the syrup and suck it out slowly as they need to. It stops the bees from touching the main body of the syrup, which is going to be cold this time of winter. All they'll be getting is a small amount of syrup here at a time. It also prevents them from drowning. And as I said, this time of year is kind of fraught with danger for the bees. Not only are they hungry, but there's only very few of them left inside the hive that are young and fit. So if they start dying in, say, one of these feeders, then it means that the queen is going to have less and less bees to be able to help feed the young and start making the new generation. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So this is a 2-litre bucket. I got a load of these because I was going to start selling honey in 2-litre buckets until I realised that it was going to come out like 3.6 kilograms of honey, and that's just weird. So what I'm doing here is popping little holes into it. So as you can see, it's one in the middle there. Let's do a few around the outside. The holes are small enough that it won't let any air in, so it means that the syrup won't come pouring out. You don't have to be super special with it, just put holes in. I tend to elect around the centre because then when you stick it around the hole in the crown board, the bees don't have to go rummaging or looking around for it. It's all right there. If you come back after a week and they haven't drunk, say, a litre of syrup, because you're only going to be doing a litre at a time now at this time of year, then just increase the amount of holes that you've got. If you come to it at the end of the week and all of it is gone, then that's exactly what you want. You want to keep feeding them about a litre per week now until the start of the flow. Here's a bucket of syrup I made earlier. So I'm going to open this up. Now, there is one issue with these bucket feeders, is that if you don't have a good enough seal, all that syrup will leak out onto your bees and kill them. So that is a massive issue. But if you're using something new like this, you should be okay. There's also a way of kind of stopping that as well. So because it's this time of year, robbing is fraught. So what we need to do is be very careful when we're pouring the syrup. Unlike that. Oh. Right. As you can see, I've not filled it all the way through. I've filled it about half full, maybe 3/4 full. So the line is about there. I don't know if you can see that from where you are. So what I'm going to do is create a nice seal. There we go. And I'm just going to prep the top of this. So I'm going to take the lid off and take any plastic fondant packets that are there off. Just move that over there. So this is the last check before you stick it on. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the seal is nice and tight. And then we're going to lift it over the bucket upside down. 1, 2, 3. Whoop, and you'll see a bit of droplets. And we need to just wait for it to stop. What it's doing is building up its airlock, so you can see that it's slowly stopping. Now, the issue with this is that the syrup's still quite warm. So warm liquid moves faster and much more easy, but as you can see, it's stopped now. And if I wanted to test to make sure that syrup can get through, I can just squeeze it a little bit, and there should be a few drips coming through. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is put that on top of the hive and let the bees get to it. If you want to make sure that the bees can find it, just give it a little squidge, let a few drips of syrup get through. Another issue with these feeders is that they're quite top heavy, unless you can find a shallow bucket, that is. So you're going to have to use an empty super or something, put it over the top, and then put the lid on instead. And there we are. Put a brick on, and everybody's happy. Spring feeding is very important. This is when the bees will start eating the most amount of food, more than winter, more than autumn. This is when they're trying to build the colony, so they will go through their stores super quick. And starvation is a real problem. Doing something like that will hopefully start to boost them and get the queen laying as fast as she can. So when the spring flow is here, they're ready and rearing, and you can hopefully get a spring crop. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.